What a joy that you have found us for this podcast. How exciting it is to think that this spiritual message is going out to people around this planet. Whether your life is working at a peak level or whether it can use some enhancement, have I got the message for you today. So get a piece of paper, get ready to take notes, call a friend, have them watch this podcast also. Then you too can have something to talk about and take it to a deeper level. So enjoy. Here we go.
I love it. Hey, that's going beyond, that's for sure. And hey, this year at Seaside, we have been committed to assisting you to move beyond in your life. And this morning's message is definitely about taking that leap. Taking the leap is what it takes to move beyond in your life, is to take that leap from that place that you have grown just so comfortable and confident with. And if you feel that disparity inside of you between, your daily routine, getting up, going to work, doing that same kind of thing, and what's enlivens your heart, what turns you on, that soul vision that you've been given, then this is the message for you. And and if you don't feel that discrepancy between your heart and what it is you're doing in your life, this is still a good message for you. That's it. And the thing is, when you have that something that's inside your heart that you're just not living, it doesn't necessarily show up in your life as aches and pains in the body, as a sick stomach or an ulcer or heartburn. I've noticed it tends to hang out like this unwelcomed companion who's just like sitting on your shoulder whispering, "There's more." "There's something missing here." Like, what is it you really want to be doing? It's like, "Oh, get away. I'm just fine." But it's like an elephant on a scale, like, whoop. And this elephant is routine, convenience, reading the gossip magazines, getting caught up in the tabloid consciousness, living in a spot that's where you've been living. That isn't what really turns you on. It's that just watching the movies that are violent. It's like the scale's way over here. And so what do we need to do to move beyond is to take that leap in a place of faith, that leap with a sense of conviction, and begin to realize no matter where you are, and if you're lifted way up high on the out-of-bounds scale, you are closer to the stars. You are closer to that God-given vision that is alive in your heart, and it is time for you to begin to focus in on that vision and take that leap towards that, because what it is you focus on is what you create in your life. We know that one. We've been talking about the law of attraction, right? It's what you continue to focus on. And if you're focusing on in just that routine, doing that day, that isn't what excites your soul and your spirit. And so if all of a sudden what turns you on is opening up an orphanage, or if what turns you on is publishing that book, if what turns you on is transforming those that are struggling to those that are able to create miracles in their life, then go do it. And you may have a gaggle of naysayers in your corner saying, "What are you talking about? You're going to go open an orphanage?" Yeah, right. Uh-huh. But where is it you're looking? That is really the key. Where are you looking? That is where you will leap. Are you looking at what cannot be done? Are you looking at keeping it convenient and comfortable? Or are you looking at that something that is going on inside of you, that the discrepancy between what you're doing and really what you've come to do? You're the only one who's going to be able to know that. And life will put you out there on the edge sometimes. It'll take you right to the edge and give you a push. And you get to decide, I'm going to fall back and just forget it, or am I going to step forward and take that leap and know that there's Spirit there to support me. And the only way you're going to know if Spirit is there to support you is to take some leaps in your life and recognize that you have not totally crashed and wiped out. You're still here. Stan Miller was a guy who absolutely loved collecting quotes. He started in high school collecting quotes and beautiful stories. When he got married, he continued to collect quotes. One day his wife said, the holidays are coming. Let's package up all your quotes into a nice book and give it to our family and friends for the holidays. It's a great idea. They went down to the local print shop and they asked how much it would be to bind up all of these quotes and stories. And they said, the secretary working at the counter said, "You know what? It'd be a lot cheaper if you ordered 1,000. And they said, "Okay, well, how much is 1,000? He said, 1,000 would be $1,000. And he said, "It's a stretch, but we'll do it." So they went ahead and they went to pick it up, and the secretary said, "Oops, I missed a zero. It's really $10,000. Yeah, it's like, that's not right. And so you're at a point. You get to decide. You get to create a real scene. You get to attack and say, hey, you're a blunder. Or you can say, okay, God meant it for good. I'm going to take a leap here and move beyond my comfort zone, which is exactly what Stan did. He and his wife were desperate. They took the books. They ran to the local university and went to the bookstore, and they asked the bookstore to sell his book of quotes. They said, no way. Nobody's going to buy those. We don't need them. He finally convinced them to take maybe 3 or 4 dozen on consignment. He went back in a couple weeks, and they were gone. It became a hot item among the students. They could find all these quotes, and this was a while ago before you could go on the internet. They sold like hotcakes. Over the last 25 years, he's done 6 revisions to his book. It's all about good quotes that make you feel good and good stories, and they've produced over 1 million copies. For the last 25 years, he has had this revenue stream that has sold over 1 million books. You talk about taking a leap. Stan and his wife Sharon did. But you've got to be willing to push through that final piece. You ever run races? It's like, oh no, you're like exhausted. Can I push through the wall? Can I take those last 100 yards to cross that finish line? You know how good it feels when you cross that finish line? But how often in life do people give up before they cross that finish line? You hear stories, countless stories about those who had great ideas. They pushed and they pushed and they finally gave up. Just before doing it, because their vision was no longer at the stars. It was on that elephant that was tipping the scale and keeping their life out of balance. They were listening to the naysayers that said it couldn't be done. What, are you crazy? Go get 1,000 books for 10 grand? Not looking at the millions of dollars he's created in his life, and to honor that passion and that something in his heart. And the only way you're going to be able to prove yourself is by doing it. There's a story from the early days of the preacher who used to say, how do you prove that a stick is crooked? And he said, you don't denounce it, and you don't make big stories, and you don't fight about it, and you don't try to prove your point, because all of a sudden you're fighting and all that. What you do is you get a straight stick, and you put it next to the crooked stick, and everybody will now know you got a crooked stick. Well, you can try to fight people's opinions. You can try to say all sorts of things. You can go into battle to convince people, or you can put a straight stick there. You can step across that finish line and begin to show, yes, I did it. I am capable. I am able. Because you know what? You've been entrusted with a dream. You've been entrusted with creating Pearl Bailey's life story. I can't wait to see it at Seaside. What have you been entrusted with? The saying that there are an infinity of forests that lie in the dormant dreams of an acorn. An infinity of forests that lie in the dormant dreams of an acorn. There's an infinity of possibilities that lie inside your heart and soul. I want you to go beyond. You've got to take that leap in your life. And I'm here pushing you. Life may give you a chance. It may take you to the edge, give you the opportunity. Are you able to see it? Are you able to take that leap? But there's something that stirs in your soul. Ernest Holmes talked about the imagination is not some fanciful daydreaming. It is fire from heaven. Your imagination is fire from heaven. Are you giving it your awareness? Are you giving it your consciousness? Are you looking at it? Or are you looking down? Looking at the negativity that is out there. Remember Trevor learning how to swim, and he held on to that side of the pool for dear life. Probably like all kids do, right? They hold onto the side of the pool for dear life, wanting to swim. It is not until he was willing to let go of the side that he was able to swim. Same thing with the diving board. He used to stand there just, before he could even really swim, he would sit there, should I? The only way that he knew that he could jump off that diving board and swim was to jump off the diving board and swim. The only way you're going to be honoring that's something that's in your heart, your soul, your spirit, that's something that really turns you on, that heals you, that enlivens you, that allows you to go out into this world with all that you got, is for you to let go of the side, to jump off the diving board in this thing called life, and take that leap. You've got to take it, though. You have got to be that. Looking for change? Let the change begin with you. Looking for this world to be a better place? It begins with you being a better place. And so what happens is, so often with people, is rather than listening to that unwelcomed intruder on our shoulder saying, there's more. What are you missing? It's like, get out of here. Just numb it. Quiet. Man, give me a drink. And in our world, or in our society, we have so many different addictions that keep us focused not on the stars and the dreams, but on the wants of our being. And the thing with addiction is that it just uses up our precious, precious life energy going after something we don't want. We don't want it, and yet we pursue it endlessly with our precious energy. You know, it is going after that which you don't want and pursuing it endlessly and never being able to get enough of what it is you don't want. If that is not a nasty cycle. And yet it is a very, very common kind of thing. And so within our society we teach people, well, I'm going to conquer that addiction. I am going to fight it to the very end. And what happens is I have got something to fight until the very end. What I'm going to do when I conquer, I get into this fighting energy. I get into this, I'm squashing it. Subduing it. And I use this precious energy to keep it at bay, to keep it away, to keep it out of my body. And I'm using, rather than this creative energy to see the heavens and take that leap in faith, I'm using something, this God life that moves through me to keep something at bay. As long as you're trying to fight, you're going to have a battle to fight. It is right. You know, Martin Luther King said, to have an enemy become a friend, you've got to love. Enemy to become a friend, you've got to love. It's addiction. Does it even make sense? I've got to love this. All of a sudden, I am pursuing this for my body, and it wreaks havoc on the body. How can I love this? But if we can begin to turn our attention to loving the addictions, recognizing that whatever this addiction might be that we have going on, whether it is alcohol, cocaine, nicotine, sex, gambling, spending, workaholic, the list goes on. Seaside has support groups for most of these, and I think they're great. And if you can't find them here at Seaside, I encourage you to find them. It is wonderful to have that kind of support. But also what I think is important is rather than doing the battle and fighting it to the end, is to embrace it and to love it and say, thank you. Okay, you have taken me to a place of experiencing that which I do not want in my life. I'm not free to take the leap as long as I am fighting this battle. We know if we fight crime, and what do we have? We have more crime. We have more surveillance, more mistrust. We have inappropriate actions of the enforcement of positions. You know, we try to fight drugs, and our jails have 3 times the residency than it used to have, mostly filled up with individuals that have victimless crimes that are in there. And the drugs are more plentiful than ever. You can ask any high schooler to get you whatever it is you want. They know where. And probably in junior high is the same story. You know, we fight terrorism. I won't even go there as to what we have created. But it is the law of attraction. That which you're looking at is that which you create. That which you're focusing on is that which you bring into form. That which you are fighting and trying to conquer begins to raise its head and call forth more of your power because you have fighting going on. But if you can learn to love and to embrace what that challenge is, what that addiction is, says you brought me to this point for whatever reason, I'm going to align myself with that all-originating energy. I'm not going to focus in on the addiction. I'm going to focus in on that from which I was created. And what I was created was pure spirit. It was not addicted to putting some toxic experience in this body, in my stomach, in my veins, but rather it is about bringing a life-animating force so it can bring forth this vision that has been entrusted to my heart and my soul. I'm going to remember that which I am, and my affirmations are going to be, I am not, or I am not a smoker, I am a non-smoker, whatever. You know, smoking comes up to mind. What it is, I am making healthy choices. Is that not a great affirmation? I am making healthy choices for my body. That puts our vision, our law of attraction on making healthy choices. My body is the temple of God. If we could begin to love this body of ours and recognize that it is a beautiful gift from the heavens. They say there's souls that are lined up for eons to get one of these things. If my affirmations are such, I love my body, I take care of this body, I am making healthy choices, as opposed to I am not smoking or I am not drinking, the energy goes, the focus goes on what it is you don't want, and you're fighting and you're in battle. I'm here to tell you to realign your awareness with that which you were created from, and to absolutely love your body, to love your spirit from which you were created, and in that kind of self-love, not beat yourself up with the shame that you may have felt or you feel from the mistakes that you have made along the way. In truth, there are no mistakes. You're not a failure. You've produced results. And it's not that those results are bad. It's what I intend to do now with those results. It's what I intend to do now with my life. It is what I intend to focus in now. And if I have mistreated some people along the way, then that is what I have needed to do. To get low enough on this scale of an elephant that is in the room and in my life that says, you know what, it's not working. You have got something that is keeping you free enough to make that leap. You've got something that is weighing you down. You now know it through experience, and you can choose from this point forward as to how it is you are going to be in this world. You are free. You are a beloved child of God. No matter what it is you have done in your life, you are loved. The Spirit of God sees you as that perfect expression now. Now, you are free to eradicate the disparity between your heart and your actions, living a life that is convenient, or doing what it is. It's a matter of shifting your perspective, reframing to free yourself up. The story of a church that had several ministers. The senior minister had been there forever. One of the associate ministers asked the minister, "Is it okay to eat while I'm praying?" The senior minister said, "No way, that'd be sacrilegious. You can't eat while you're praying." But the other associate minister kind of had the same question, but he asked, "Would it be okay to pray while I'm eating?" Senior minister said, "That'd be great. Paul told us to pray without ceasing." You see the power there is in reframing, of letting go and looking at a new kind of way, the same facts, the same situations. You can free yourself so you can go beyond where you are in your life. I'm here to entice you and remind you you can fly. You've got to take that leap to realize you can. See, we're living in a culture where there's so much stress. Yeah? And that's an inside job. It is, and stress is, you know, if you can't put it in a container and weigh it, I mean, it's nothing that is there. But there's 112 million Americans that take medication every year for things like the stress or the results of stress, heart palpitations, can't sleep, insomnia, obsessive disorder. The list goes on, nervousness, anxiety. 112 million Americans taking drugs for something that doesn't exist. Wow, that's a racket. I'm here to remind us what you look at, where you put your attention, what it is what you're focusing on. People say, well, what do I look at? What do I focus on? I'm telling you to listen to that something that's inside your heart that you've just kind of numbed or punched out, that intruder that says there's more to your life. There's more there for you. That you can take that leap. It's how you choose to process. How you choose to process this world changes how the world you process is. That's good. don't know if I can repeat it, but it's worth repeating. How you process the world changes how the world you process is. You're not going to need to be one of those 112 million Americans who needs to take medication because there's stress or there's worry, you can't sleep, or there's anxiety, you got the nervousness, the heart palpitations, or the twitches, or whatever that list is. Just because the doctor says, here, take it, doesn't mean you have to. If you are focusing on that life force from which you were created, all of a sudden you begin to move yourself beyond this world of form. You move yourself beyond this world of embracing what the physical dimension is saying is the truth for you. You continually hear stories, but you have to know how. That is the beauty of going to the classes. That's the beauty of here on Sunday mornings, is you're reminded of the spiritual systems that work. This works. When you know the system, you begin to receive the blessings and the gifts that are there for you. There's a seminar. Small group of people came to the seminar. So the seminar leader brought into the center of the room, underneath a light, a blue velvet piece of material. And on this blue velvet material, he opened up from this like velvet bag, poured onto the material like 50 diamonds, all sparkling in the light. And everyone, ooh. He said, oh, but let me tell you, 49 of those are cubic zirconias. There's only one real diamond in there, and that diamond is worth a lot of money. I'll tell you what, any of you who want to come and try to find that diamond, if you can find that diamond, you can have it. Well, needless to say, everyone in the class volunteered for that attempt. He said, but there's one catch. I'll give you 60 seconds. After then 60 seconds, you can't do it. So everyone came, and everyone tried. No one found the diamond. He said, now I can show you how. There's a system. There's a secret here. And let me show you how this works. I can do it in 60 seconds. And oh yeah, right, uh-huh. He said, go ahead, time me. Sitting on the table was the tweezers and the little magnifying glass. He said, I don't even need that glass. He took the tweezers and he started counting. And he took all the diamonds and he turned them all over on the flat end, so the faceted end was up. Turned all of them over in about 50 seconds. With 10 seconds left, he now was able to look upon the diamonds. All of them were absolutely perfect and flawless, except one. And that one had whatever pieces of carbon that reflect the light and do something different with it. And he picked it up and said, here you go. This is it. He said, everybody in the class then said, okay, I'll try it now. And he said, no way. You had your chance and you didn't know the system. I know the system, so every time I can find the diamonds. You know the spiritual systems. Every time you can take whatever the challenge is in your life, the disparity that is going on in your life, and turn it around by lifting your head from the pain or the gutter or from the elevated perspective up to the stars, up to that spiritual place, and put your focus on that which you want to experience and create. Because there is a power that is the power of God, is the only power, is the only life force, and it is flowing. You've got to have faith in that. You've got to have faith that there is only one. If you think there's two, then you're on a whole different, you need to be somewhere else. There is God and there is nothing else. That's where I place my faith. And what I know is as I put my vision on something, that is where I will be able to launch to, I'll be able to leap to. Ernest Holmes, he's the founder of religious science. He writes in his book, The Science of Mind, about faith. He said, pure faith is a spiritual conviction. Is the acquiescence of the mind. Okay, the mind that says, oh, I got to do this, or I got this addiction, or I can't do it, or the naysayers. It's the acquiescence of the mind. It's the embodiment of the idea. It is the acceptance of the concept. It's the acceptance of the vision. It's the acceptance of the star. It is the fire from heaven that Ernest Holmes was talking about. If we believe that the Spirit incarnated in us can demonstrate, shall we be disturbed at what appears to contradict this? If you believe Spirit can do all things, do you need to be disturbed and what is appearing in your world unlike that? We shall often need to know that the truth which we announce is superior to the condition that we are to change. In other words, if we are speaking from the standpoint of the Spirit, then there can be no opposite to it. It is only when we let go of all human will and recognize the pure essence of the spiritual principle incarnated in us that thought rises above a belief in duality. We should constantly visualize our faith by the knowledge that the eternal is incarnated in us and that God itself goes forth anew into the creation through each one of us. Be confident that which is incarnated in you goes forth. That's why I'm saying, if you want to take that leap, look to where you want to leap. Don't look at what you want to battle. Don't look at that which you want to destroy. Don't look at that which you want to suppress. Look at what it is you want to create in your world. That is the law of attraction. And you begin to do that by your conscious observation. There's a key for you. That's a system. Spiritual principle. Seems to be simple, makes sense. Become conscious of your thoughts. Okay? In other words, be like that third person watching your thoughts and your response to those thoughts, to the choices you make about those thoughts. It's like a third person saying, oh, look at this thought that came in. Now, how do I want to be with this thought? Do I want to subdue it? Or do I want to choose to see the spiritual truth here? See, what happens so often is people live their life from a place of reaction. They respond. And what I am saying is it doesn't matter what you have done up into your life into this point. It is what you're intending to do with what it is you have created. What it is that you're planning to do with what is going on. Too many people are living from the past programming. Got that? That's the reactionary. Living from the past programming. If you want to take a leap, you've got to be that objective perspective of your consciousness and your choices with what is going on in your life and in your world. Because life throws you things and you get to say, oh no, I got 1,000 books. What am I going to do with it? I'm going to give them back, or I'm going to see it as an opportunity. What is the opportunity that is alive in your heart? You guys know Robert Allen, who Robert Allen is? Bob Allen? Amazing, amazing story. Here's a guy, some of you don't, most of you weren't shaking your head, so I'll tell this story. Anyway, I guess it was the 70s or so. He graduated from BYU, Brigham Young University. We're in the middle of the recession, you know, the skyrocketing inflation. He graduated with a MBA, Master's in Business Administration. He put his resume out to all the leading corporations in America, General Motors, General Foods, General Electric, and generally got responses and no way from any of them. So he didn't know what to do. He was enticed and interested one time from a book he read by a guy whose title was How I Turned $1,000 into $1 million in Real Estate in My Spare Time. Real estate sounded good to him, didn't know what else to do. He offered to work as an apprentice to a leading real estate developer in that area. He was basically working for free, being he didn't have any other offers that seemed to be just fine. And he was single, didn't have very many expenses, so he did anything this developer asked him to do. He learned the ropes, and within a few months, he found himself a duplex in Provo, and somehow finagled and got $1,500 for the down payment, and he was on his way. That was the first of his properties. Over the next few years, he was able to buy and sell, some of them as profits, some of them not, but on paper and with some creative math, he was a paper millionaire. And he wondered, I'm curious, so my friends would be interested. So he shared the secrets with his friends, or the system with his friends and his associates. And their lives started turning around. They started making all sorts of good deals. And he wondered if anybody else might be interested. So he put an ad in the classified section of the newspaper. It said, how to buy real estate for little or no money down. His phone the next day was ringing off the hook. Within a few weeks, he was making $10,000 a day giving seminar trainings. He went on to license the name on how to buy real estate with little or nothing down to a national seminar company who agreed to pay him some commission on every student. Within a few months, he was making $25,000 to $50,000 a week doing nothing. Just the residual income coming into his world and his life, which freed him up to write a couple of #1 best-selling books. When this agreement ran out after 6 years, he made over $100 million residual income coming into his life. From a down moment in his world when it wasn't working and nobody would hire him, he took a leap. He took a leap of faith. And at the end of those 6 years, he created a new product on sharing information and sold it to all of his previous clients and students and made another $100 million. Wow. That's pretty good. That is pretty good from a low point in one's life. I share that because here he is doing real estate transactions, a business that's as old as the hills. He was mining from the same mine but brought a new twist. I want you to know there's a twist for you. There's a twist that will enrich your life and your world like you can't even begin to believe. There's an infinity of forests inside of you. But you've got to honor that little unwelcome stranger that's on your shoulders saying, there's more here. There's something missing. Are you really happy living where you're living, doing what you're doing? Maybe you are, but maybe you're not. And to remember that inside of you is that little, like, night light. Now, that little night light that goes at night in the darkness, that's there. It's never gone out. It is that light of God that has been planted in your heart and your soul that is never forgotten. No matter how dark your world has been, it's never forgotten. That's something that you have been entrusted with to bring into this world. But you have to go beyond where you are. You have to go beyond your addictions. You have to go beyond your fears. You have to go beyond that comfort zone. You have to go beyond the convenience. You have to go beyond that life that you presently know. And that takes taking a leap. Taking a leap of faith. Remember the old story? Teacher said, come to the edge. The student said, no way. Teacher said, come to the edge. And the student said, I can't. I'm afraid. Come to the edge, the teacher said. The student came to the edge. And the teacher pushed. And he flew. She flew. Well, I'm here telling you, come to the edge. And take that leap. And you will know that you can fly. God bless you. So I'd like to invite the ushers to come forward as we do take our gift from our heart. Again, with a lot of heart and soul and passion. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. Hey, I trust you enjoyed that podcast. It was very exciting to be able to create that and to know that there are people like you all around the world that are observing and integrating these spiritual principles into their life. And so if you enjoyed it, what I'd like to do is encourage you to tell a friend or bring several friends together and watch another one of these podcasts, and then afterwards take some time to talk about the spiritual principles, to talk about the stories and what significance they have and relevance they have in your life. What then happens is it moves to a deeper and deeper level in your world. It becomes real and assists you to create the freedom in your life that your heart and soul so desire. So if you like this, I encourage you to watch it again, but also tune into our website here at seasidecenter.org. There, you can get some of my written material and take a look at it. You can read some of my spiritual prayers. You can even go to our online bookstore and order some of the books. And if you're so moved, what I greatly would appreciate is your financial support, which you could do online at seasidecenter.org. It is support like yours that assists us to be able to continue to do these kinds of gifts for humanity and send it out to the world. Because you know what? We are making a difference with this spiritual message. And because of support like yours, people are being touched in the farthest reaches of this planet, as well as our backyard,
more than we could ever begin to realize. So I thank you from the fullness of my heart for making a difference.